Okay, so I regretted so much the way I ended that last recording. I had to step up one more time and apologize immediately because of what it says in the queue now. Solve a lot of problems for you too. And while I do believe dialogue and the exchange of the realities that we're experiencing back and forth is an uplifting and necessary component of humanity's realizing its spiritual ascendance. I certainly don't think I have the capacity in which to fix problems for you, which is why I'm not trying to do this in any prescriptive sort of capacity, because I don't know that there is a way that any of us can tell any other of us, this is how you do it, and then get that person's full on board commitment to that way until maybe they've gone through a bunch of stuff. Like I said with my dad, how there were certain gifts he was giving me that I couldn't realize until I'd been around long enough to understand that they were there. And I believe that in some ways you can give people that over the long haul, but you certainly can't give that to somebody in a manner of a 2-minute quip of, if you just started living your life like this, all of a sudden you'd have so many rewards 27 years from now. Nobody's going to buy into that, number one. Nobody, two, can experience that until they've had a good chunk of that start to develop. And number three, I don't know that that's what we're here to tell each other, really. I'm not here to tell you how to fix your life. I'm here to potentially help lift your life as you lift mine. But that's about all there is to offer. The rest of it is ours to navigate. And if it wasn't, what would we be here doing? What would the challenge of conscious experience be about if it wasn't about discovering the journey of your own design, right? Isn't that the point? So, ending the last one like I did, it's a bit cliche. And let me speak to these points because they haven't come up yet, and I've meant to bring them up a couple times. So, number 1 point, number 2 point, in case I forget. Number 1 point is I do not delete any recordings, nor do I prepare in any capacity for any of this. That won't surprise most of you, but there is no design. There is no structure even in this. This is me blah, 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 out of my mouth, whatever I'm thinking at the moment. I'm doing this because, to me, this is the most exposed dialogue capacity in which I can exist to document a structural truth of my life that's never really been here until right now. And so this is a personal project, which is why, shoot, what was my second point? I certainly had one. So anyway, whatever happens in these recordings isn't preconceived at all, unfortunately. And I think at some point I'm going to, especially probably after these first 50, start coming in with at least a 3.5 inch by 5 inch card written in super marker of 5 words not to forget to cover while I'm trying to expand on whatever happens to leap into my mind at the time. And I said this was a year... Oh, I know what the second point was. But I said this was a year-long project because I know if I get through a year's worth of these types of dialogues, I will cover everything I feel I need to say to myself. And if myself ever needs to listen to these tapes in the future, I'm talking to myself right now, realize that this moment of lucidity feels precious. I feel like I've been given a gift to unlock the dusty, spiderwebby cellar of my mind into a glistening laboratory of clean functioning. So these are the moments in which I need to remind myself how much I can give myself in terms of experiencing a life of joy and fulfillment. So if myself ever feels like I'm listening back to these tapes to find that again, stop lying, number one. Stop fearing my emotions, number two. And number three, go hug my mother. Oh, and the other point, I'm not doing this for you, any of you. So whatever you think this is about, it's not about you. And of course I've made everything in life more about me than I should have. But if I don't see this project as a dialogue to myself in a capacity in which to truly appreciate this position on earth that I was given, then I will have failed the project. And I failed at a lot of things in life. So failing at a project of my own design is not something I feel like I want to experience. And so putting any more parameters on this than just letting myself talk to myself is going to introduce elements that could contaminate the project. And while I know most people, the idea of talking to oneself in the capacity of the year-long conversation at this level is going to create sounds, I wouldn't even know. What would that sound to most people? Onerous? Insane? Captivating? Seductive? Like an idea I've thought of 17 years ago and been maintaining ever since? Maybe. Probably some of you. Some of you uptight, wound up, got to get all this stuff down so I can't ever forget where I've been, people. But being a guy who can barely find his keys, speaking of which, where are my keys right now? I know I misplaced them, but where did I put them? Uh-oh. This is as much organization as you're going to get out of me. But I think that if you just think of this as having found some sort of lost traveler's diary while they were trapped in a cave and somehow managing to survive for 365 days. Well then, you know, what else do I have to do? I have all the free time. I have no obligation to anything except myself, my dog, my cat, and my community. And for this year, instead of turning that selfishly inward, as I have for the rest of my life, I'm going to push that purposefully outward. And I'm going to try to vibrate at a hum that makes everybody around me vibrate at the same hum. And that hum is a harmonious high frequency that makes everybody better. So I can't fix your problems, but I can certainly get you to stop creating problems for yourself that don't exist. So in that capacity, just like you can do that for me, trust me, I cannot do that for myself. That is something that you cannot find inside of who you are. That has to be something that comes from the vibrational communal hum around you. But in that way, we can all fix each other. So now that I'm consciously thinking of how to end this, which I never think of, that's another thing I should say here. The endings are just where I feel like, okay, I've said enough, I'll stop right there.